Alright, so here's a little side project that's got to happen so that we can entertain you a little later down the road. These are all the parts for the slip clutch on that little 452 New Idea brush hog slash stock chopper that we have. Right now it's got the stock chopping kit on it, but you could use it either or. Which you'll see the more a little later when we get this done. But I gotta get this done because I want to use that more behind the Hart Parr to chop these stalks back here, because I think that'd make a cool video, because you never see any Hart Parrs on YouTube doing anything. So, basically what was going on here is we first got this mower, shoot, 4 or 5 years ago now. Got the slip clutch all freed up because it was stuck, which was probably, I'm not going to call it a mistake because the slip clutch is there for a reason, but it was probably a mistake because the slip clutch, after we got it freed up, wouldn't stop slipping. Tried cranking up the pressure on it because it is adjustable. That's what this nut's for. But basically what it comes down to is the friction discs are shot. They look alright to the naked eye, but you feel them and you start measuring them and they're not wore flat anymore, and this one's got a bunch of ridges in it. That one wasn't touching in half the spots. Basically the slip clutches were shot and the friction facings are kind of rough. And basically how this stacks up is, this is the main hub, then you got a friction disc, this divider plate, which actually is what the PTO yoke bolts to. This is what drives it. And then you put another friction disc on top of that, and then the outer friction plate, and then they have these two cups stamped out of spring steel to stack up like that, and then your nut goes on and you tighten and loosen the nut, which adjusts the tension on these two spring cups, which adjusts the tension on the whole slip clutch. Well, that friction surface is really rough. That one is not as bad, but it's not great. And both sides of this are kind of rough. So basically what needs to happen is need to get 2 new friction clutches, or friction discs, which I had a brain fart this morning and tried calling Mayball, but I forgot this is Labor Day, so they're not working. I have to work today, which I actually haven't had a Labor Day off since I started working at the plant, because we harvest right through Labor Day. Which is fine, I'm not complaining because we get paid double time and a half for holidays, so I'm going to make some good money today. But anyway, that threw me off because I didn't realize that nobody else besides me is working today. So, basically what's going to happen is I have to figure out how to chuck this up in the lathe so that I can come in, and I'm not going to get too carried away because I don't want to make this I don't want to take too much material away, but I'm going to take and come in here and kind of surface this a little bit and try to true it back up and take some of this pitting out of it. And I'm going to do the same thing on this and try to do the same thing on this if, again, I could figure out how to get a hold of it. Although, by all rights, I really only need to machine from about here out. So, yep, and I'm going to have to probably make a new bushing because this one is cracked here and here. So, I have to get some brass bushing material and bore it and machine it to fit. So, anyway, I'm going to figure out how to chuck some of this stuff up in the lathe and we'll get to getting. Okay, so start with the easy piece. I already got it indicated in. I indicated off of the center bore, and the only 2 machine surfaces on this are this bore and this face, and I tried indicating off this face the best I could to get it square to the chuck, and there's still a little bit of run out in it, but I couldn't tell if it was because the plate's actually out of square to the chuck or if I was fighting all the pits and crap right through here. So I did the best I could. we are going to change this setup a bit to make life easier, because I didn't notice that had changed it. Let's run this back out to where that is not straight. Oh, I was on the wrong one. There, we got that, so now I can use that. And do this. There. That's going to make a little more sense. Just kissing it, I'm not taking a whole lot. It sounded an awful lot like it. Yeah, that thing warped bad. And whatever I take off of the clutch face, I'm probably going to come in here and take off the hub too, just to keep the distances on this land the same. Got it, son of a bitch. That was a lot easier than I thought it'd be. That's real nice, Clark. Had to take about 10 off, so probably gonna come in here and touch off on this and just clean this up and take 10 off of it, like I say, so that the distance on this land right here stays the same. That way you still got the same amount of adjustment on the clutch. That actually cleaned up beautiful. That was a lot. I figured I was gonna have to take a lot more out. I didn't figure I'd get all them pits out in that little bit. Now, what I need to do, because on most brake and clutch facings, they want what's called a non-directional finish, which if you've ever, I realize you're a little crooked. You need to be, sorry about that. You need to, if you ever took a clutch and flywheel in to get faced and you looked at the flywheel, it's got spirals in it where they machined it. That way it's non-directional, that way it makes it to where it'll grab but not chatter, which is what we're going to do here. So I'm just going to take a piece of emery cloth and kind of, while it's running, actually what's going to be better is if I take this and put a Scotch-Brite pad on it, so I'm not really taking a whole lot of material, and just buff it. That's going to work better. So let's do this. Okay. Let's run it in reverse. And now there's kind of a spiral pattern to it, and that took a little bit of the roughness off of it. So it'll grab, but it won't chatter. And there's that. Well, that all cleaned up pretty good. This was really actually the one I had to take the most off of. I had to take 10 off of that to clean it up because it was cupped. Obviously you saw that. This cleaned up with taking 5 off, and this cleaned up taking 5 off of both sides. That pitting there is actually like in the hub diameter. The friction disc actually rides out here, so that doesn't affect anything. I didn't really want to, I mean, that pitting right there, you can't hardly feel it anymore, so it's not going to affect a whole lot. I didn't want to take too much more off because I was limited to how much I could take. Basically, they had a slight undercut there, and I took 5 off of here, and it basically went to the bottom of that undercut. So I didn't really want to go anymore because I couldn't really take any more off of here. So, and this, it looks like it's got spirals in it, but you run your fingers across, or you run your fingernail across it, you can't feel it. And it looks like it machined all cattywampus because it didn't clean up here. But that was just stamped out of a piece of flat metal to begin with, and I mic'd it, and it's all within about a thou all the way around. So apparently it wasn't all that flat to begin with. They must have just not been too worried about it. So it's probably flatter than it was when it left the factory. But anyway, now all I gotta do is come up with some brass to machine that bushing, because it's not gonna go back in that way. So anyway, we will catch you later down the line when I get the stuff to continue this here project. Okay, so here we are a few days later. Actually machined all this on Monday, and this is Friday, so actually machined it on Memorial Day, and now it's 9/11, so yeah, that don't really need to go into a whole lot about that, because everybody already knows what this day means. But anyway, somehow, some way, I originally was looking for friction discs for this thing on A&I, trying to find some that would match, and they didn't have anything close, because, you know, I'm figuring, what are the odds that Agco still has friction plates for a 1960s new idea 5-foot brush hog? Well, as it would turn out, they do. These K3121 friction discs, actually same part number new idea used, that 5 3/4 OD, 3.5 ID friction disc is pretty much New Ideas. Pretty much New Ideas go-to friction disc for all their slip clutches on pretty much everything. So Maybach actually stocks them. He said they don't keep a lot, but they usually keep a few on hand, so that worked out. And then now gotta make this bushing that goes right there, because this one was broke. Originally it would have been out of oilite. Oilite is really kind of expensive, so Dad had this chunk of bronze laying around. He said go ahead and make it out of this, so it's gonna have a bronze bushing in it, which all this does is the only time this actually spins on the shaft is when you start slipping the clutches. So if the clutches don't slip, this ain't doing shit other than holding this center. So all it's ever probably going to do is chop stalks anymore. So chances of slipping that clutch are slim to none. So a bronze bushing will hold up just fine in it. So got to chuck this up in the lathe. Probably not going to indicate it for run out like this, but I'll indicate it so that we're running true around the OD and go from there. Okay, so I got that all indicated in. I actually did end up indicating it both ways for run out, so it's running true both ways. So the ID on this drive plate measures about 2 inches 6/24. The ID on this measures about 2 inches 6/25, so there's a slight interference fit, but not much, which when I drove that thing out, you could almost push it out by hand. There wasn't a whole lot of, because it was in one piece. It was just cracked, and then when I got it out, the piece finally fell out. But there's not a whole lot. They didn't have a whole lot of interference fit on here. And then this measures the OD on that shaft measures about 2 inches 125, and before this fell apart it measured about 2 inches 124 ID. So normally in a situation like this you would finish machine the OD, rough in the ID, install the bushing, and then go back in and finish bore the ID, because you're going to have a certain amount of shrinkage when you press this into the plate. However, the way this thing is shaped, we do not have a chuck to get a hold of it once the bushing is in, so I'm going to have to get it as close as possible. And it's not like we're making a Swiss watch. If it's a slightly loose on the ID, it's not the end of the world. It's just a slip clutch. So we're going to do what we can with it. Okay, right now the ID on this is measuring about 3 inches, so we got a little bit to take off yet. Should be my last pass, hopefully. 2 inches, 625. Alright, how close are we here? Oh. Gonna be just a slight press fit, about like the other one. Actually, that hole is kind of... That hole is actually kind of tapered inside here, so... We're gonna go with it. Not that you'd have ever noticed it. I guess it would have been nice to give that about an extra thou on the OD, make it a little tighter, but it'll be fine. We'll have plenty. So now I gotta switch over to a boring bar. Alright, we'll see how that angle works. I had to move you from down here because you were looking right at the back of the tool holder. Okay, I'm like 1 inch 223, so I just gotta go in there and clean it. Sorry, 2 inches 223, or 2 inches 123. Is that what I said before? I don't know. You get the idea. Survey says 2 inches 126, which is roughly what the ID of that one measured, so that should be good. Oh yeah, I like that a lot. You need to clean that up a little more though. There we go. Now just need to switch to a parting tool. Have to go slow and steady. Alright, got it parted off, got it polished up, worked out great, nice snug fit in the plate, nice it's nice slip fit. It's good and it's snug, but it's a slip fit, so I got that just right to go over the hub. So last thing we got to do is put it together. All right, so first clutch disc, then the drive plate, and then there's a Woodruff key that goes in there. Where's that at? There it is. I know I threw it in here. And that's going to get a little bit of anti-seize. Actually, you know what? Before I do that, we are going to, just because this is not oil light anymore, it's an actual bronze bushing, and it's going to want a little bit of lubrication. Let's dab a little bit of grease on here where that's going to be running. What would probably be the wise thing to do, since this is not oil light anymore, is every couple years take this thing apart and just re-grease it. That is nice. I did good on that. I'm kind of impressed with myself for just kind of winging the dimensions. Then that Woodruff key goes in there like that, and then we got our second friction disc, and then our other hub plate. You're gonna go, nope, damn it, push the key out. Dip it down a little. Woodruff keys are always kind of a pain. There we go. There we got her. And then we got our two spring cups and our nut. Which is going to get anti-seize as well, so that it doesn't get stuck again like it was when we got it. Although now it shouldn't be an issue because it's probably never going to sit outside. Well, it's sitting outside right now because it was a pain to get it out of the barn, but when I get it back together, it's going over to my house to go in the barn, so it's easier to get to. So it'll probably never sit outside for any period of time ever again. And should be able to tighten that down the rest of the way when it's on the mower and there's actually something to hold it so that you're not fighting it. But anyway, there you go. One overhauled New Idea slip clutch. Alright, I got just enough time to get this together real quick, so got the shaft anti-seized up so we don't have any issues later down the road. That goes on, and then they've got an Eaton ring that snaps in to hold that on. Which I think it went in. Oh yeah, we're in. We are in like sin. So there's that. And then the PTO shaft has a bushing that's piloted on that stub. And then they got a couple spacer blocks that hold it out from the clutch itself. Like so. This is actually a nice little mower. For what it is, it's pretty well built. It's definitely a lot better built than, say, if you went out to TSC or something and bought a king cutter. In all honesty, it's kind of hard to find a good new brush hog anymore. They're all just kind of junk. I think the best, well, I guarantee you the best ones on the market are a company called, what is it, Shaloot or Shoothpee, or however you pronounce it, the big green ones. But they are actually kind of more toward the commercial market, and those things are expensive. Get this thing hooked on the damn tractor so let the brush hog doesn't spin. There we go. Dad actually had one of these for behind the 77 back right after he got the tractor, and my uncle got a hold of it and it never came back. As a matter of fact, I think it's still sitting out there in the fence line, but I'm pretty sure the deck's rotted out now. Okay, so that is how that all goes together, and now just need to tighten that, which requires a big ass pipe wrench because we don't have an actual wrench big enough. This is Dad's 48-inch rivet pipe wrench that he broke a couple weeks ago trying to take a cylinder apart. Oh, well, now I'm rolling the tractor over. Give it one more and we'll call her square for now. There. We'll see where that gets us. And if it slips, I guess we'll have to give it a little more. But here's the actual whole overview of the mower. Just a little 5-footer. But it's perfect for my 66 or the Hart Parr, or, you know, smaller tractors. One of the 60s would probably even run it, but that'd be pushing it. But yeah. And the way these are built, if you wanted to narrow it up, there's a second set of bolt holes. Actually, there is another bolt hole, but you can take these axles and flip them over, and the wheels will trail. You could either leave them flipped out, which I don't know why you would, and they'll trail back here, or you can flip them and invert them, and the rear wheels will trail back here inside the cut of the mower if you wanted to mow up against stuff or not knock down grass or whatever. But you leave it this way, it follows the contour a lot better and it's less likely to scalp. So this is the way you'd want it for chopping stalks anyhow. You could order it with a hydraulic cylinder. This one's just got a hand crank. Which, is that stuck? Nah, it's just stiff. Which Dad said the stiffer the better, because he said on his that was nice and loose and it would vibrate down. You had to keep an eye on it. But you got a whole bunch of different hole combinations so you can set your hitch to your tractor. The other option they had was you took the tongue off, you put bolted through 3-point pins here, and then they had an A-frame that bolted on it and came down to these tabs back here, and you could run it 3-point. And then they had a tail wheel assembly that used these bolt holes back here, a single laminated tail wheel. So we got the book for it. I should have got it out so I could show you all the shit, because I mean, for a brush hog there was a crap ton of options you could put on it. If I remember right. Oh, I thought it had the stock chopper kit on it, but it's got the stock chopper blades on it. Somebody has actually at some point put this angle on it with a torch. That's all flame cut. The stock, they had 2 blade options. You had a grass blade, which looked like a regular brush hog blade, and then they had stock chopper blades, which were just a blunt blade. And this piece is actually part of the stock chopper kit. Oh, that's the other part of that bushing. And then there was a couple other pieces that bolted around in and around the deck to hold the stalks underneath it so it'd shred them. But they were blunt, so they would hold up better, striking rocks and all that. Anything you would expect to hit in a cornfield. So, yeah. Not much you can talk about, but it's a cool little new idea. New idea made a lot of cool shit, but 452. And it's a later one because it's an Avco. So it's probably late 60s, early 70s-ish. I think was when it was Avco New Idea, and then I think New Idea became part of Allied. And then I think when Agco bought out, then Agco bought out Allied, so I don't know. New Idea is one of them short line companies that's really hard to trace because there was a lot of buyouts in there, and regardless, now they're part of Agco. So anyhow, I guess that's it for this one. You guys will probably be seeing this video tomorrow morning because I do not have time to get it up before I got to go to work here. So yeah, that's it for this one. We'll catch you all on the next one.